Hey guys. Sorry, I wasn't saying anything. I was gonna wait until tomorrow night to do a live. I am gonna do a live tomorrow night. However, we have so much to cover that I'm having to split it into 3 separate lives. So, this is the first of it, and I'm gonna cover oh, these guys, I swear, it drives me crazy. Okay, we're gonna cover the first 5 videos tonight. Uh I don't even have anything up here yet. I am so hot. I'm sweating so bad. I'll get the notifications out that we're live. I'll go ahead and see if I can share it to Facebook. Uh, I'll get these going as soon as I can. I don't want this to be real long. I'm hoping we don't lose power. Panda, you are right in the way. All right. I am so hot. Oh, these guys driving me crazy. I'm shaking. I'm so hot right now. I'm hot flashing. There's nothing else. Just hot flashing. And it's horrible. Oh, I almost forgot to post it. Jeez. All right, I think that's all I can share it to right now. All right. All right, I will get the first video up. Let me go to Facebook real quick. Look at my profile. I'm dripping in sweat. That was happening earlier too. I'm drenched. Amy, Chloe. Really? Get down! No! Naughty! Get off the table! You're making me crazy. It's like having 10 toddlers. No, I don't have that many kittens. It's crazy. Just a couple of kittens is like having 10 toddlers. It's crazy. Sorry, alright. I'm gonna get the first video playing. I've got to get my... I'm just sweating so bad right now. Really, you guys? I gotta lock the door. Alright, so the first one is from Full Spectrum. Yes, I'm still dripping sweat. I'm gonna have to go into... today? I didn't even write it down. It is really humid here. I feel like I was standing in the shower with my clothes on. That's how drenched in sweat I am. Okay, he has a live going on. We're not going to go to his live. Whoops. Come on, give me Full Spectrum. I know he's live. That's not the one I want. The one we're going to is... New missile launches.
Good afternoon.
Shush. This one right here, this was 2 days ago. So here we go.
Happened in the last 72 hours. Let's go ahead and catch up.
Make sure you
over the 72-hour attacks between.
Make sure you share these videos. Get on, like the videos. It'll get YouTube to alert other people that they're on. Please like and share the videos. I'm begging you guys, like and share the videos.
Israel, Beirut, and Iran, along with the United States of America's complete and utter unwillingness to re-engage, at least from a diplomatic standing. Now there's concerning information that has been presented to the President of the United States of America that the global fear of America's military is waning across the world. This fear, according to strategists, is what used to allow the United States of America to remain a global superpower. This was a fear of technological and military domination on the battlefield, and it's what the world observed for the past 40 years as America's willingness through the American leadership to represent our interests in both short-term and long-duration conflicts. Now, one strategist is quoted as saying that both the Russians, the European Union, NATO, North Korea, and Iran have all made open claims that America has reached beyond its peak. And through that reaching of our prime, a new world order must be established to govern the world of men. That warning is becoming more prophetic by the hour after we saw yesterday Donald Trump telling reporters in response to Iran launching ballistic missiles that, quote, "What I would suggest to Iran, you've shot your missiles, that's enough." Iran's leadership has said that the Iranians are neither committed to a ceasefire nor will they believe in dialogue as long as the demonstration of a naval blockade and violation of agreements against Lebanon continue. They warn that America and Israel only understand the language of death. The naval blockade against the Iranian nation and the green lighting from the U.S. to the Israelis to turn Iranian territory and Lebanese territory into dust, they say will take the hands off of the armed forces, and the military will remain ready to engage. Through the headquarters of the Iranians, they warn that the attack on Beirut's southern suburb pushes the Iran military into true promise number 5 territory. This threat and warning, they say, is fully valid, and it will forever hover over the heads and remain in the minds of American citizens and the Israelis. They say that there will be an expansion in response to different stages and layers that include attacking directly U.S. military bases and what they call the occupied territories of Israel. Now, the IDF, of course, identified the ballistic missiles that were launched from Iran into the territory of the state of Israel. The defense systems really did their job. They were able to take out many of the threats. The public, they said, is requested to exercise responsibility and act in complete accordance to the directives. They sent out text messages to the mobile phones. They closed down the schools inside of Israel. This might last the entire week. And we did, of course, see over the weekend that the markets were maybe given a heads up. They were told that something was coming because we saw a complete loss throughout Bitcoin and other cryptocurrency. We saw a loss in the general markets. We saw oil fluctuating. It looks like they knew what was coming before the rest of the world did. Right now, we're starting to see that an exit strategy in the Americans may be telling signs to exactly what those strategists are saying. That if the threat of the American military has waned, then there's no way that we can combat China taking Taiwan, a further aggressive action by Russia against the European Union. And we're going to have to kind of boil down and simmer down our military response to be just surrounding our homeland and our sovereign territory here inside of America. Now, we are seeing reports that there are tensions once again increasing across the Middle East. Qatar issued their no-fly zone the airspace completely wiped out.
Sorry, baby, but no.
Dutch Airlines canceled all of their flights to and from Israel all the way up until July 27th.
I brought in all my
Netanyahu, the
stuff
prime
that
minister of Israel, called an emergency security meeting. There was a discussion over the phone between President Trump and Netanyahu, and Iran says that they are ready to re-engage in a massive conflict that will forever burn itself into the minds of the Americans. Now, over in the Asian Pacific, we just saw China announce a new maritime law operation east of Taiwan. And for anyone that was tracking this, the real question is whether or not this is go time. They say that the gap that you're seeing in information is the point, that these law enforcement projects are nothing more than readiness campaigns to make China prepared to act against Taiwan. Now, the next thing that we're going to see is whether Beijing will actually put out an official poster naming the hulls that it is using, or whether they're going to keep the ships quiet in this operation and let the announcement carry the weight. This could be theater, or it could be a re-engagement of military activity. The United States of America is ready to use frozen Iranian assets for the reconstruction of damage to our Gulf allies. This is, they say, particularly egregious for the U.S. side, and the Iranians say that they're struggling to understand what strategic purpose this would use when this is actually Iranian money. The frozen assets are literally all we have besides the nuclear dust in these negotiations, and it's a hurdle to show why the Americans would use this. North Korea's nuclear weapons program is absolutely non-negotiable, according to the leadership. The sister of the leader, Kim Jong-un, said ahead of a visit to the Chinese that our status on a nuclear power is non-negotiable. This statement, carried by the North Korean official Central News Agency, says that that country will not tolerate any threats, including those from the United States. The statement from Kim Jong, who is considered a key player in the country's communications and foreign policy, comes as Beijing of China looks at itself as a vital source of political and economic support system or structure to North Korea. Now, this leadership is, of course, making changes, and the conflict that we're seeing back on the Middle East really ties things in here. What we're seeing happen with Iran is a U.S. national security disaster. Critical missile stockpiles inside of America have been depleted faster than they can be replaced. More than 1,000 different Tomahawk cruise missiles have already been used. This has reduced America's inventories significantly. Now, at current production rates, it will take years, 2030, to rebuild these numbers. And a large portion of our Patriot missiles, as well as our SM-6 and SM-3 missiles, have been used and consumed during these operations. The USA, as it stands today, remains the world's leading military power. But some people say that that's just because we'll probably use nukes if it comes down to that. Commodity analyst Jeff Currie has warned that the markets have underestimated the developing energy crisis. Oil futures remain around $100 a barrel. Physical fuel markets are now showing a fear of greater strain. Jet fuel prices have surged to $230 per barrel, roughly $220 in Rotterdam, and now we're seeing shortages pop up. Oman crude has reportedly climbed to as high as $173 per barrel, and diesel and jet fuel prices are starting to become an issue here inside of our country. Governments, they say, can print money, but they can't print out oil. There's a growing gap between the paper market and physical fuel prices, suggesting that supply chains have tightened and we might be in for a lot harder of a summer and a fall than we experienced before. The Trump administration is reportedly exploring a plan to negotiate directly in the acquisition of Charters Island. This proposal, it bypasses the British government. Now, they say that this is going to serve as an alternative to Prime Minister Starmer's plan to transfer sovereignty over into another region. U.S. officials reportedly view Diego Garcia as one of our most critical military assets for operations in the Indo-Pacific, around Africa, and the Middle East. Now, the White House has been discussing the future of this base, but President Trump has criticized the European handover. They said that this was going to be a big mistake if you give up this allied area of America. Bank of England, they're facing their own backlash after documents revealed that they have commissioned research to make a historical change, basically to remove Winston Churchill from the banknote. This report suggests that historic figures, landmarks, and even White Cliffs of Dover are now controversial because of their links to colonialism, nationalism, and modern political debate. Now, critics, including Reform UK, these figures and military veterans argue that if you remove Churchill and if you remove national icons, you are showing that you have sold out. While I gather information about today's survival tip, let's go ahead and take a quick moment to hear about Chapter. Today's episode of Full Spectrum Survival is brought to us by you, the viewer, and by Chapter. Everything that we do on this channel comes back to one thing: protecting your family, whether that's your food supply, your safety plan, or your finances. There is a large part of our families that are missing one thing, and that's long-term planning. Whether it's for you or another group member, if anyone in your life is on Medicare or about to be, we know that system is overwhelming. Chapter is the only Medicare advisor that compares every plan nationwide. They are independent. Their advisors are salaried. They look at what matters to you. In 20 minutes, even if you're already on the best plan for you, they're going to tell you. People with Chapter have saved an average of $1,100 on healthcare costs. This is free. There's no pressure. In under 20 minutes, you'll know. Call them at 610-900-4081 or use the link below. Moving through a different urban environment is going to be a pretty tough point for your family. One lesson that law enforcement officers and people inside of the military have learned quickly is that urban intersections, they're not just places where roads cross, they're points of exposure. During periods of civil unrest, disaster response, and infrastructural failure, or really any unstable time, intersections create multiple sight lines from multiple directions. And what this does is limits your ability to identify potential threats. Every doorway that you see, each parked vehicle, rooftops, alleyways, upper story windows, these each become possible observation points for enemies. Now, if you're operating inside of an urban environment during uncertain conditions, you should automatically view intersections as areas where your visibility decreases while the visibility of potential enemy actors increases. Because of that reality, when you move through intersections, you should move deliberately, efficiently, and coordinated with your group. The objective is not to stop and study the environment from the middle of an exposed area. Your objective is to move through it while maintaining awareness and minimizing your time in a danger zone. Now, military patrols and police tactical teams, they understand that these areas and lingering inside of them increases their vulnerability. And that's something that you and your family have to understand too. Whether you're moving alone or with family members, or if you're part of a preparedness group, the principle is the same. Spend as little time as practical inside of exposed areas. Always maintain your momentum. Communicate clearly with your group and avoid unnecessary actions that draw attention to your position. Folks, you're watching Full Spectrum Survival, where every day I scroll so that you don't have to. Please share this video on X.com and Facebook and hype this video with hype points down below on this YouTube video. From my family to yours, check back at 2 p.m. this afternoon. The notifications, people are saying that they're not getting them. Please make sure that your bell alert icon is checked for all notifications. And other than that, just make it a part of your day to spend time with family here. 7 a.m. Eastern.
All right.
2.
Get down. Really?
A lot has happened.
Oh my gosh, these cats, I swear. I'm not going to skip that one.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to Full Spectrum Survival, a very important Iranian update. There is something that feels very different about the Iran situation right now, and it's not the headline Welcome in, everyone. You're watching Full Spectrum Survival.
Is busy because CENTCOM, Central Command, will be busy tonight because President Trump said we will be hitting Iran hard, and we will be because Iran has a chance to make a good deal, a great deal, to codify what they said they've been willing to do, and they haven't been willing to do it. So, as President Trump said, they've been tapping. You can see when someone's trying to tap on a deal. Instead, they're going to have tap bombs dropping on.
Good afternoon, everyone. President Donald Trump has said that the United States of America will determine the outcome of every.
We're going to jump to this one.
Good afternoon, everyone. President Donald Trump has said that the United States of America will determine the outcome of every future with Iran, arguing that American leadership will drive the negotiation. His comments come after Iran launched ballistic missiles over the weekend in a major ceasefire violation. Trump said these attacks do not affect ongoing talks with Tehran, but that any deal will stand or fall upon its own merits. He also warned that military action and continued economic pressure remains an option that is on the table should negotiations fail. Iran, of course, claims that the missile strikes were just a response to what they call Israeli provocation. The operations in Lebanon and the continuation of a demand for a permanent Israeli ceasefire as part of any broader agreement. We do have an update right now on the global disruption of fertilizer markets that is raising concern about American food production. Reports indicate that roughly 50% of globally traded seaborne urea and 25% of global ammonium trade has been disrupted or stalled altogether. Both of these are key ingredients in nitrogen fertilizer, which supports approximately half of all global food production. The concern here is straightforward. When farmers use less fertilizer, this creates shortages, rising cost. Soil nutrients are depleted and crop yields decline. The equation that we're looking at is very simple. Less fertilizer equals lower yields. When you have lower yields, you have tighter supplies. And when you have tighter supply chains, you have higher food prices. Now, we are risking weather system issues also. A farmer in Texas is giving out a different kind of warning. He's said to be by a data center. He says that he hasn't born a single live calf from a cow since a data center went online. Only stillborn births. Now, if that's happening to livestock, imagine what it's going to do to people around it. French fighter jets operating under NATO's Baltic air policing mission have shot down a drone over eastern Latvia, and I have some video of that here behind me. Now, this happened on June 8th. The country's national armed forces confirmed this operation, where they said the drone was intercepted near Latvia's border with Russia. This was the first time that NATO jets have ever downed a drone over Latvian territory. The interception is the second in Baltic airspace since May 19th. That was when a Romanian F-16 shot down a stray Ukrainian strike drone over Estonia. Now, Latvia's crisis is said to be politically destabilizing inside of the region. Let's go ahead and take a quick look and see what else we have happening out there.
Mr. Secretary, I've searched hard to find constituents in my district who believe that this economy is golden. In fact, many of them are struggling more today than they were the last time you were in front of this committee. Personal savings are shrinking, disposable income is down, and families are paying more and more for basic necessities. So I would like to ask you a couple of yes or no questions about this golden economy.
Secretary, how are farmers faring these days? The state of the American farmer, given higher fertilizer prices, higher prices at the pump, particularly with diesel?
Well, the farm economy, there's no doubt, is facing headwinds. It was almost a 40% increase in input prices under the last administration. Not surprisingly, the highest inflation we've seen, I think, on record.
Folks, this is scary because what they're going to do is they're going to raise prices and they're going to blame it all on the Biden administration, not the Strait of Hormuz being shut down, not the overreaching capabilities of conglomerate corporations, groups of corporations, basic monopolies that increase your prices without anyone being able to undercut them. Capitalism is about if I make something, like say I make a wooden toy and you make a wooden toy, our prices would undercut each other to stabilize the market. We would basically both do it for a profit and we would undercut what that profit margin would be so that you could stabilize the market. But what we have right now is capitalism turned upside down, turned into corruption. And in corrupt capitalism, a small group of companies get together and say, hey, let's all raise our prices to the maximum level we think that we can soak out of these poor suckers. And then let's say we have a buy one, get one free sale. And so what they're doing is actually robbing the entire American populace. This video in the middle of Donald Trump saying that the Iranians are basically unable to use their naval assets shows one of their attack boats with an Iranian reporter on national television here saying that any ship that opposes the Iranian Navy will be targeted and absolutely blown out of the water. This is a scary video off the coast of Florida. They say that vultures are just falling dead out of the sky into the water.
Oh my God, dude. Look at this. You gotta go head first. There you go. Don't look at me like that. I'm trying to help
All
you.
these animals are dying.
The one cut out south wind and
Look
Yeah, all
at
these
this, folks. We
animals
just
are
have
dying.
hundreds and hundreds of these dead birds falling out of the sky.
Yeah.
But our campaign against them is not yet over. Over the past 24 hours, Hezbollah tried to impose a new equation on us. This equation is unacceptable and also unacceptable to me.
Do you see the amount of misinformation that we're getting in public-driven propaganda? They release this information to news outlets and they tell you things like, we've stopped fighting, we're fighting again, we're negotiating, the peace deal is here, it's going to happen tomorrow, it's never happening, we're going to annihilate them off the earth, it's a peaceful, no more wars. The propaganda is so strong that the American people right now don't know where to look and they don't know what to do. And that's why it's so important for you and your family to be lighthouses in the darkness for them. You have to be steadfast in your preparedness so that other people don't get scared.
If Iran makes the mistake and he resumes its attacks against us, we will respond forcefully because Israel has the right to defend itself, and we will maintain this right.
This video shows the footage of a large explosion over Russia's Belgorod region. This was a cloud of smoke up into the sky. They said this might have been an ammunition depot. Here we have blasts inside of the Shmona area of northern Israel. They say that this was because of the Iranians. Now, remember that everybody who posts a video like this online risks 5 years in jail and $5,000 or more in fine because they don't want real information getting out about the war.
President Xi Jinping says China and North Korea will jointly fight against an attempt to revive militarism that threatens regional security.
There was no specific mention of who the statement was aimed at, but it comes a day after Pyongyang reaffirmed its nuclear armed status, saying there's no backing down from it.
Do you remember just a couple of years ago where the United States of America said, under no circumstances will we allow a nuclear arm?
Okay. We're going to go to the next one. Hold on.
Welcome in, everyone. You're watching Full Spectrum Survival.
is busy because CENTCOM, Central Command, will be busy tonight because President Trump said we will be hitting Iran hard, and we will be because Iran has a chance.
Okay, so we're gonna go to Lisa Haven. This one's gonna be kind of a short one. This one right here.
I got to tell you guys, just within the last 30 days, there have been major events that have transpired, 7 major events to be exact.
These up
And the
so it doesn't end up being like
has not done anything to put the puzzle pieces together. I'm talking about earthquakes breaking out, volcanoes, the new world screwworm that has just arrived back on the scene, freaking Ebola breaking out again in the Congo and even Uganda, a drought here in the US, the freaking oil price is going crazy, food pressure, and all of this is happening while we're being told to shut up, calm down, don't worry about it, take a breath, trust the experts. And meanwhile, the freaking billionaires are building bunkers. You know, look, I'm not going to predict the future or anything. That's not what I'm here to do. But what I am here to do is give you guys the information of what's going on. Hey, count the oil barrels, count the cases of Ebola, the screwworm. How many volcanoes are we having? How bad are the earthquakes? What do the timelines look like? And ask the question that society hates you to ask, and that is, why does the ruling class always seem to panic before the rest of us are even allowed to take notice, right? Because when the people with private jets and private doctors and private islands and bunkers start preparing for public chaos, maybe the story really is not about the bunker, because that's what a lot in the TV realm seem to be talking about. Hey, look at their bunker. Yeah, no, nice. Maybe the story is not about the bunker, but maybe it's about why they are building a bunker.
Why?
Because here's what I want to put together for you guys today. You see, when there's one disaster, okay, fine. It's, you know, if there's one disaster, maybe call it the weather. But hey, 2 disasters, well, you know, it's just coincidence. There's things going on. But hey, 7 major risk signals stacking up inside roughly 30 days. All of that's happening, and billionaires are building bunkers. And maybe it's time to really stop pretending that the smoke alarm is just being dramatic, right? Here's what I'm talking about. And these are the 7 things. Number 1, there was a 7.0 earthquake that just hit the Philippines. Lots of people died, praying for everybody. Meanwhile, California's tectonic stress hits like a modeled 1,000-year high. And I'm going to get into all of this. Around 40 volcanoes are in continuing eruption status. It's well over 40, by the way. But, you know, that's something that happens on and off all the time. And then the screwworm, they're having more cases outside of Texas. Ebola breaking out in the DRC and Uganda. They now have hundreds of confirmed cases. And the United States just went through the worst spring drought on record, according to some sources. And oil inventories are being drained at a record speed. All of this I'm going to talk about in today's broadcast. But the bottom line is, it's not just one of these stories that is happening. It's multiple stories happening at the same time. And it's really giving us something to think about, right? But before I move on, please make sure you're subbed to the channel. And by the way, I put out a video, my dang collar. I put out a video earlier today. I want to encourage you guys to watch it because chances are you didn't see it. It's about Thomas Massie. So please go back and watch that video. It's huge. It's the one right before this one. YouTube doesn't send out notifications anymore. I really wish they did. But anyway, please make sure you're subbed and share this video with everyone you know. It's a great deal if you guys would do that for me. But with that, let's start with what is going on in the Philippines, right? Take a look at this article. And this first one here is on the independent.co.uk. And it says at least 32 killed and over 200 injured after 7.8 magnitude earthquake rocks the Philippines. Again, my heart goes out to all of those impacted. Now, we do know that the Philippines sits on the Pacific Ring of Fire, where, you know, we have our tectonic plates, shove, scrape, buckle all the time and rupture. But that's kind of, you know, a big area that happens. But what's interesting is at the exact same time that that's happening, another earthquake warning is showing up, and not just from some Joe Schmo, you know, wearing in a generator suit. But this warning that I'm about to show you actually comes from a scientific model outside the University of Bern. Take a look at this one. And this is earthquake models reveal stress in California at record levels. This is on media revelations on University of Bern. And it says an international research team led by a researcher at the University of Bern has modeled 1,000 years of earthquake history along the San Andreas and San Jacinto faults in Southern California. The result, stresses in the crust are higher today than at any time in the last millennium. And a critical fault junction near LA could decide how big the next major earthquake will be. Now, what this actually means in this article is this is a millennium scale stress meter sitting near LA, freaking San Bernardino, Riverside, and the Cajun Pass. This is the area that researchers describe as an earthquake gate, if you will, meaning that if that gate opens, right, a rupture might not stay polite and local. It could literally jump systems. Now, the researchers are clear. This is not a prediction. Thank God I don't predict things, but this is absolutely something that we should take notice of. And here's why we should. The California study says modeled stress reached 3.6 megapascals on San Jacinto Bernardino section and 2.8 megapixels on the Mojave South section of the San Andreas. It sounds like technical jumbo because it is, but translate that in the normal language. The system is basically loaded, putting it very simply. It's not guaranteed to break tomorrow or next week or Lord only knows when, but it's freaking loaded. And that phrase matters because they use the term in the article, critical stress. And because it is critically stressed, they are basically saying we need to prepare and need to be ready. And that's why this is of utmost importance. Bottom line, the average American, I know when you hear that, we hear, hey, don't worry, no prediction, nothing's going to happen. But when a billionaire hears that, they're like, stress is at, 1,000-year high near one of the most populated and infrastructure dependent regions in America. And so what does the billionaire do? He calls the freaking contractor to start putting concrete and build his bunker. Funny how that works, right? I mean, it's really, really sad. And I get that we don't have the money. My hair keeps getting stuck in my earring, but I get that we don't have the money to build bunkers. And you know what? That's not the point. The point is, it's good to know and be ready for anything that's going on. Speaking of, lots of volcanoes are also active at this time. Here is like the current site. It gives you all the current volcanoes that are going off, and you can see all of them listed, and you can refresh this. You could see all the different volcanoes, and there's over 40, I think, going off. The red ones are a major eruption. The maroon red is like just eruption, and the yellow are like mild unrest and all of that. And a lot of this happens all the time. This is nothing to be worried about, but obviously volcanoes, the reason this is important is because volcanoes can impact travel. I'm talking about air travel, and not just air travel, but also the quality of air, right? Think about the sulfur dioxide in the air. So these regional disruptions that are happening can disrupt economies, farms, tourism, evacuation systems, supply chain, public health, you name it, right? It's not the apocalypse. It's just more pressure. Now add to all of this, the new screw worm's arrival in America, and this is on the AP. A flesh-eating cattle parasite spreads beyond Texas as new screw worm cases are found. I did a report on this the other day talking about it. At the time, there was only one screw worm. Well, now there are about 5. 3 more cases of the New World screwworm have been confirmed, including one outside the main cluster in Texas, demonstrating the difficulty of stopping the resurgent pest that could devastate the nation's cattle industry, the U.S. Department of Agriculture announced on Monday. And so far, there are 5 confirmed cases. 3 are calves, a goat in Texas, and a dog, how sad, from New Mexico. So those are the ones. And the problem with these little freaking screw worms, it is a lot, right? Because they eat you from the inside out. Humans can't catch them, right? So that's the good news. Bad news is, as you saw, cattle, wildlife, dogs can all catch it. And they can be really hard to stop, within livestock. And if livestock gets it, up goes the food, and then our food prices get right. We start seeing an increase in that. And here's the deal: they have been trying to prevent this screwworm from coming into the United States since the 1960s, and they've done it fairly good with these sterile, I think, flies or whatever that they had released. But since that barrier is kind of dropped and hit the wayside, now we've got the problem with the screwworm again. And it could also impact trade, by the way. They may say, oh, you got a screwworm. We're not doing trade with you. So it could also really hurt our trade. Now on to Ebola, another one of the big things that is happening. Take a look at this article on theindependent.com. Confirmed Ebola cases passes 550 after United States warning spread could match record outbreak. Now, this has been going on for a while. But I also included it in this because it's happening in and around the same time as everything. But the DRC has confirmed, as you see, 550 cases. 90 to 101 are confirmed dead. Some of those cases vary, and that's in the DRC and Uganda. There's currently about 19 confirmed cases and 2 deaths. So that's kind of the update on Ebola. So what about this drought and what's going on in the U.S.? This is on thetimes.com. The worst spring drought on record is putting our crops at risk. The United States experienced the worst drought on record last month, with more than 60% of land in the lower 48 states experiencing moderate drought or worse. The drought has sparked alarm in farmers and environmentalists across the country who warn our food supply may be impacted and wildfires may light the area where they're not usually seen. So they're saying that yet again, that could impact our food prices on top of some of the other stuff I mentioned. The dry conditions are concentrated to the southeast, where moderate to exceptional drought covered 99.81% of the region at its peak in April. So that kind of gives you an overall view of what's going on. But of course, if you hear any politician talk about that, they're going to blame the grocery stores and the big corporations. And President Donald J. Trump, and they'll make something up. They literally blame everything except the freaking system that they helped build, where everything depends on, weather, predictable weather, cheap fuel, logistics, healthy livestock. Basically a government that can freaking chew gum without launching a freaking task force on gum equity, if you get my drift. Now, if you stack everything together, all of that, the drought on top of disease, oil, fertilizer cost, war, and livestock threats, then suddenly our dinner table becomes geopolitics. Not to mention what's going on with El Nino. I know there's a lot of talk that can bring some trouble as well. But finally, there's also the oil shock. Take a look at this article on Reuters. Oil inventories headed towards multi-decade low, US EIA warns. So they're actually reporting that our stockpiles in major economies are headed towards the lowest level since 2003. That's kind of what they expand in this article. And why? Well, obviously, because nations are tapping inventories to cover the loss of more than 11 million barrels per day. Regarding the Middle East output tied to the war, that's not just a market fluctuation. That's kind of like a bigger problem. Call it a global bloodstream problem, if you will, because oil doesn't just give us gas. It's trucking, it's shipping, it's farming, it's fertilizing, it's plastic, it's emergency services, construction, fill in the blank. So when your oil goes unstable, civilization does not immediately collapse. It just gets really freaking expensive and tense. And then politicians have to start lying, making up things why your egg costs are, more expensive than a freaking carburetor. And that's before, by the way, you add all the other issues that are stacking on top of each other, from drought to the livestock threat to the new screwworm to volcanoes to earthquakes, billionaires building bunkers. All of that added together adds a bigger picture, right? And speaking of these billionaire bunkers, Business Insider actually reported that wealthy tech leaders have been associated with bunkers, reinforcing basements and underground shelters, even weapons supply. They've been getting that and doomsday style food and water preparations. But they say that the reason that the elite and billionaires are claiming that they're doing this is because of 2 major things: war and geopolitical chaos has really sparked that demand. But either way, while you and I are getting the notice, don't panic, ignore everything around you. The billionaires are literally asking the question how, they can build a door in their bunker to withstand a bomb, right? But maybe billionaires are just getting bored, and maybe they just want to build a freaking bowling alley underground, because the above ground ones are just for us little people, but who knows? bottom line, 7 risk signals in 30 days is a geological warning, maybe a biosecurity warning, a food warning, an energy warning, supply chain warning, public health warning. And the billionaires behaving the way they are don't do that for no reason at all. They usually run to bunkers, to protect themselves. And I get it. Again, you and I don't have the money to do that. I certainly don't. I'll never be able to build or afford a bunker in my lifetime. But I guess the end question is, we just need to know what's going on. What do these billionaires know that the public's not being told plainly? Because they obviously have a little more insight than we do. They got a lot more money to play with. But either way, the point is not to panic. We can't afford that. But it's just to recognize the pattern when we see it and take note to what is going on and do the best we can. Anyhow, I hope you guys love this report. I want to really encourage you, get to Restrict Republic if you like what you heard today. We got lots more stories on that thing, conspiracy, SPACs, all kinds of good stuff. Join thousands of others and subscribe on there. I've got lots of great stuff you're not going to want to miss. Coming up, I'm going to be doing some major exclusive reports next week and at the end of this week. So sign up for restrictedrepublic.com and check that out today. But with all of that, I want to say I love all of you. Thanks again for tuning in. I'm Lisa Haven signing out.
All right, guys.
May 22nd, 2004.
No, we're not going to watch
Residents of the small
tornado
town of
video.
Hallam, Nebraska.
If I had time, I'd do more. But I don't. So, I'm sorry I wasn't really talking and interacting much during the videos. You guys can see there is quite a bit going on. There's a whole lot more. Tomorrow I'm going to be covering, and I'm going to be doing a lot of interacting with it. Riverside Homestead. I might actually get up early and do a live instead of waiting, and then you guys will just have it to watch. Riverside talks about a lot of normal everyday type things going on. Some of the stuff that he talks about might surprise you. We haven't been on very long. Unfortunately, I'm gonna have to get off because I have to go pick up Scott from work. Got the kittens taken care of. Nebula's in the living room in her little spot. Once again, if anybody wants any kittens, please let me know. We do have some to give away. Like and subscribe, like and share the videos. Please make sure you're subscribed. YouTube is at it again. Please share these videos. Share them with everyone you know. I'm going to work on getting some more informational videos out there. Just get them out there to people. And I'll also be doing more gardening videos, that kind of thing. I'm going to be planting cherry seeds tomorrow. Probably some more of the fruit seeds. I pulled everything in on the porch, thinking we were going to get this huge thunderstorm. No, it just rained a little bit. And the wind was a little bit high. Not that bad. I'm just going to leave everything there till tomorrow. I just can't let Cinnamon on the porch or Cupcake, my kitty. So, whatever. I'm tired. I'm ready to go to bed. But I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to get off from here for sure. Mandy, I'm sorry I missed you. I don't know if you were on tonight or not. I know you'll catch it at some point. I will do a live tomorrow. I'm really going to aim to get up early tomorrow because I have a lot to do. I still have to do the apples. I'm not going to let them rot. I still have to do the apples. I still have to empty out all that citrus stuff. Scott has to work tomorrow again. Aaron doesn't. Me and Scott have got to get outside. We've got to get to work outside. Anyway, I'm going to get off from here, and I will see you guys on the next one. Please like and share the videos. Make sure you're subscribed. Click on the notification bell and click on all to make sure you get all the notifications. I'm working on my weight. As you guys can see, I'm not even going to weigh myself for a while. I did not have a great weekend as far as food goes. Scott's birthday. I was kind of bad. I did ice cream and I had pop and we had cake and then we had ice cream. We had more cake. Yeah. So anyway, anywho, but I'm working on it and I'll get there. I will get there. Please make sure you do your research. So important. Start prepping. Rice, dry beans, dry peas, dry lentils, dry bean soup mix, dry other stuff, gardens. Get your seeds before you can't. I'm dead serious. Get your seeds. Sow right seeds. Get on Off Grid with Doug and Stacy. Hand up. Get on Off Grid with Doug and Stacy. Off Grid with Doug and Stacy.com. Go to their shop tab and click on Sow Right, and like go all the way down and you'll see Sow Right Seeds. If you order through their website, you will get a 15% discount. Bakerscreek.com or rareseeds.com. I love their seeds. They are heirloom. The company is kind of sold out, whatever, but I still love their seeds. Berlin Seeds. And then if you're around this area in Ingham County, G Farms has some really good seeds too. So does Dollar General in Owasso. But I'm going to go ahead and get off from here. Get your seeds, get your garden started, get your homesteads going, even if it's container gardening right now. Get a couple chickens, just start like yesterday. We're running out of time. Get this stuff going, get the show on the road. I will see you guys tomorrow, and have a great night, you guys, and make sure you like and share the videos. Share with everyone you know. I will see you guys in the next video. Bye, guys.